In the volatile heart of the Horn of Africa, where empires have clashed for centuries, a single decision in Washington is sending shockwaves across the Red Sea. The United States has pulled funding for Somalia's army, at a moment when Al-Shabaab is regrouping and regional powers are circling. Now, the African Union has called an emergency meeting. Is this the beginning of a security vacuum that could ignite the entire region? Or a calculated shift in a new great game? This is not just another funding cut. This is geopolitics at the boiling point. Welcome to the Horn of Africa. July 2026, I'm your host. And today we're investigating how one decision could unravel years of fragile progress. Today's agenda: the AU emergency session, Ethiopia-Somalia's surprise reset, Eritrea-Egypt maneuvers, and why the Horn's interconnected conflicts make this week one of the most dangerous in years. Stick around. By the end, you'll understand why the world cannot afford to look away. Let's start with the trigger. In recent days, the United States signaled the end of direct funding support for the Somali National Army. For years, this assistance has been a lifeline: training, equipment, logistics, helping Somali forces hold the line against Al-Shabaab, one of Africa's most resilient insurgencies. According to sources close to the AU, this abrupt shift prompted an emergency meeting. Diplomats in Addis Ababa are scrambling. Why now? Investigative reporting points to a mix of American budget pressures, shifting U.S. strategic priorities toward Asia and the Middle East, and frustration with Somalia's slow progress on governance reforms. But in the Horn, optics matter more than intent. Somalia's president Hassan Sheikh Mohamud has been walking a tightrope. His government is transitioning from the African Union transition mission in Somalia to a more Somali-led security architecture. Without reliable funding, that transition risks collapse. Al-Shabaab has already exploited past vacuums. Remember their devastating attacks on hotels, bases, and civilians. I reached out to regional analysts who described this as a perfect storm. One veteran diplomat told me off record, when Washington steps back, others step in: Turkey, Egypt, the Gulf states, but not always with the same goals. This emergency AU session isn't routine. It's a high-level gathering expected to address immediate funding gaps, coordination with troop-contributing countries like Kenya, Uganda, and Ethiopia, and contingency plans. Expect sharp debates behind closed doors about burden sharing and whether the Horn can police itself without heavy Western support. But this isn't happening in isolation. The Horn of Africa is a single interconnected conflict system. Pull one thread and the whole fabric unravels. Let's break it down. First, the Ethiopia-Somalia reset. Just days ago, Somali President Hassan Sheikh Mohamud held high-level talks with Ethiopian Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed in Addis Ababa. On the surface, pledges of trust, security cooperation, trade, and regional stability. Dig deeper. This comes after years of bitter tension over Ethiopia's controversial MoU with Somaliland for Red Sea port access. Somalia viewed it as an existential threat to its sovereignty. Now, with Turkish mediation and mutual exhaustion, both sides are signaling de-escalation. Why does this matter for the AU meeting? Ethiopian troops have been key contributors to Somalia's security. A thaw could mean more coordinated operations against Al-Shabaab, but only if sovereignty concerns are truly resolved. Skeptics say it's tactical. Ethiopia needs stability on its eastern flank as it grapples with its own internal pressures. Next layer, Eritrea and Egypt. On July 3, their foreign ministers held talks on Red Sea security, trade, and Horn developments. Eritrea, with its long coastline, has positioned itself as a key player. Egypt, worried about the Gerd Dam and Nile waters, sees opportunities to counter Ethiopian influence. Multiple think tank reports describe an emerging axis involving Eritrea, Egypt, and elements in Somalia against perceived Ethiopian expansionism. This is classic proxy chess: Gulf money, arms flows, and intelligence sharing all in play. Then there's Tigray and the Ethiopia-Eritrea shadow war. 3 years after the Pretoria peace deal ended Africa's deadliest conflict of the 21st century, tensions are rising again. Troop movements reported near borders. Accusations of proxy support. If Ethiopia faces renewed internal fragmentation, Its ability to project power into Somalia diminishes exactly when the US steps back. Sudan's civil war adds fuel, refugee flows, arms smuggling, and ISF government battles spill across borders. The Horn is no longer separate crises, it's one dangerous ecosystem. As the Global Peace Index warned earlier this year, foreign powers know this. Turkey has deepened defense ties with Somalia. Saudi Arabia recently signed pacts. The UAE maintains influence through ports and proxies. China watches its investments. Russia and Iran probe for openings. The US cut isn't just fiscal, it's a signal of strategic retrenchment. Europe is stretched by Ukraine and domestic issues. This leaves the AU and regional states to fill a vacuum. History shows vacuums in the Horn rarely stay empty for long. Here's the turning point. This week's AU emergency meeting is not just about money. It's about whether African institutions can step up, or if external powers will dictate the next chapter. Sources indicate discussions will cover rapid funding alternatives, possibly through AU peace funds, Gulf donors, or expanded Turkish training programs, but deeper issues loom. Accountability for past atrocities, inclusive governance in Somalia, and preventing spillover into Ethiopia or Kenya. If the meeting fails to produce concrete commitments, we could see accelerated Al-Shabaab offensives, more refugee crises, and opportunistic moves by neighboring states. Conversely, success could mark a new era of African-led security architecture, something leaders have talked about for decades. I've spoken with Horn-based journalists and civil society voices who paint a sobering picture. One Somali analyst said, "We've been here before. Funding cuts lead to withdrawals, which lead to attacks, which lead to more foreign boots on the ground. The cycle must break. This is the high-stakes moment." The decisions made in closed rooms in Addis this week will ripple across the Red Sea, affecting shipping lanes, migration to Europe, and global terrorism threats. The Horn of Africa has seen empires rise and fall, famines, wars, and remarkable resilience. Today, it stands at another crossroads. The US funding cut and AU emergency meeting are symptoms of a deeper truth. External solutions have limits. Sustainable peace must come from within. Through inclusive politics, economic integration, and accountable security forces. Yet realism demands we acknowledge the risks. Interconnected conflicts mean one spark in Mogadishu can ignite Asmara, Addis, or Khartoum. Red Sea access disputes, water wars, and proxy rivalries are not abstract. They cost lives daily. As investigative journalists, our role is to shine light so policymakers cannot claim ignorance. The world ignored early warnings in Rwanda and Sudan at its peril. We cannot repeat those mistakes here. What happens next? Watch this space. I'll continue digging, interviewing sources on the ground, analyzing leaks, and bringing you unfiltered updates. If you value deep investigative coverage of global hotspots, hit like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. Drop your thoughts in the comments. Should African nations shoulder more of their own security, or is great power involvement inevitable? Share this with someone who needs to understand the Horn. This is your host, reporting from the front lines of geopolitics. Stay vigilant. The Horn is watching.